Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Fractional C-Suite podcast. My name is Latoya Dixon Smith. I am co founder and chief product officer at Blaze, and I'm here with my CEO, Casey. How are you doing today, Casey?
What's up, Toya? I'm doing really well. I'm feeling really grateful, really supported, really focused right now. It's a lot going on. How are you feeling today?
I'm good. But I want to hear what's going on with you, because you're not in Nairobi anymore. You have come to the States to do some really big things. And I want to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah. Let's get into it. And I'll say to everyone listening, especially those who are sitting in the seat of leadership in any executive role, we know that as any company scales, there are definitely growing pains, right? And there are definitely times you have to disrupt stuff, right? You have to disrupt operational flows. You have to disrupt entire channels of your business. You have to disrupt who's available, right? And who's actually pulling out of the business to work on special projects. And that's exactly what Blaze is going through right now. So, I've come to the States to have boots on the ground as I fundraise for the company, raising $1 million to be able to support a go-to-market strategy that we have around AI, generative AI, and really bringing access, unprecedented access, though, ease and abundance to Black women entrepreneurs in ways that are familiar and meaningful. So just finished an accelerator program with Digital Undivided and JP Morgan, and I have to say it is the best thing that I've experienced on the market in this journey to date. And that, yes, they gave us capital, and that's amazing, right? They gave us thousands of dollars to further our mission, but it was so intentional. I got phone calls literally every single week from the program manager wanting nothing but to hear my voice and check on me, and like those types of she was the only one doing that, okay, besides my dad. Right? So it was just profound. Last night we celebrated the culmination of this accelerator, and all of us, we just never experienced the way that they loved on us, right? Like, they literally served appetizers in an open bar for like 2 hours with no rest before the full 3-part course menu came out. And it was just like just relax, just be at peace, just eat. Like, it was just like, really, like, we're not rushed up, and we made meaningful connections, got mentors and advisors who were not checking anything off of a list. They literally listened to me every week, and they connected me to stuff, right? I'm coming on the other side of this with like a huge network of people they connected me to, feedback on my pitch deck, acceptance to other programs, just, so I just say, all of this is as glorious as that sounds. It means that I have to come out of the business, the day-to-day operations, right? Which is very disruptive. Like, there's nothing comfortable about that for myself or the team, right? And this is par for the course, though, right? Like, in order to go higher as leaders, we must be willing to make major bets and step through short-term discomfort so that we take the vision and the impact and Black liberation higher.
Building leaders and accepting zero excuses. Casey, I'm so proud of you, but also I understand. And I love that you were able to receive the support, the mentorship, the community that you need as a CEO. Even just you taking that step away to be nourished through that program, it showed me a lot too, as a fellow co-founder, in ways that I need to understand that in order for you to do your job the best of your ability, that you have to take that step away, and you have to allow yourself that time and that space to sit in that CEO's role, to really envision, continue to be our visionary, but the visionary is your job. Like being the visionary is your job, not being the operations person, the product person, the marketing person, which is what you've had to do for, um, with Blaze's inception.
Yeah.
But like you said, like now it's really time to disrupt, to allow for all the amazing things that is in store for Blaze and Black women to come to fruition. So that's exciting. And again, I'm so very proud of you, but I'm also grateful that you got exactly what you needed, because these are the things that you give us, and that you give the community. So we understand that it's important for you to experience that, so that you can see like what else can be done in terms of like how can you serve at your best version of your own leadership. I love that.
Right. And I'd love to hear your tips for executives who are stepping into new capacities, right? And like honestly, like what that feels like and what you would tell anybody that is navigating this. Because from my lens, Toya, like I'm already bought into the vision, right? And standing beside executives today who did not necessarily intend to be doing these exact things, right? A year ago, a month ago, or whatever, to be so bought in and to be clearly sacrificing, right? The myriad of things that their brilliant minds could be doing instead. It is humbling every day for me. It is humbling every single day for me to see you navigate through challenge, through stretching, through picking up, from the bottom, whether it's like sending out emails all the way to the top, like developing strat decks, what are the tips you would give executives who are stepping into new capacities and dealing with, better, right? Like all of the complexity that comes with that.
I would say one of the things that's helped me the most is seeing this as like almost like it's a video game. And I know that sounds kind of like juvenile, but it really is. Like as a children, and I have two of my own, what helps them to manage newness, manage new experiences and all those things a lot easier is relating it to something that they are already used to. And a lot of times that's play. And so for me, I kind of see it as like character development. I'm like, okay, well, here's the character that I'm playing today. And here are the challenges that she is being met with. So how are we going to navigate this with as much ease as possible, but also like knowing that she's so capable. Like this would not even be in opportunity. This would not be in her lap at this point if it wasn't something that she was ready to step into. And so seeing myself as like player one, ready player one, like we got this, but also knowing that like you don't have to get everything overnight. Like you don't have to know how to be the best CPO in like 2 weeks.
Right.
Like there are so many things that for me that it comes a lot easier when I gain a deeper understanding of it. And I think that's where I'm comfortable, like studying something, for a while and studying it very intently, and then I feel comfortable. But I can't do that right now because this is so bigger and so much beyond like who Latoya is and what I've experienced just in my own short lifetime. That you have to rely on your team. You have to build your networks. You have to reach out and talk to people who you probably never would have talked to before. And so I don't necessarily have like a step-by-step action plan for that, but I do know that immersing myself in it, whether it's through other people, whether it's through studying courses, just even like listening to people who have done this for a long time, just to even see how they think, and hear the types of conversations that they're having. Just that immersion for me is the best way, and I think that's very similar to a lot of different types of learning strategies, especially like learning a new language, because it's essentially what it is. Like I'm learning a new language, and the best way for me to integrate and embody like all the things that I need to be my best self in this role, and in this industry, is through immersion.
Mhm. I love that, and I love the way you think, Toya, and you bring that. And people use this word diversity all the time, but truly, like, you bring that diversity of thought into every conversation we have. Like I remember, it might have been like the first kind of leadership strat meeting that you, myself, and Hannah had, and you brought up our human design charts. Let me tell you something. That would have never happened if it was just me talking to the executives, right? But it was so illuminating because ever since then, all of us, like Hannah and I both, we've thought about why our inclinations, our natural inclinations in response to anything, are what they are, right? And really embracing it to understand what puzzle piece we bring to the table. So I even though the stretching and the getting up the learning curve and all of those things naturally just do take a couple of months, like the impact of your presence and the way that you think and the way that you challenge even, it's immediate. It's been immediate inside of the organization. So I just applaud you. I appreciate you. I am always inspired by you. I've been inspired by you since I met you in college, right, in undergrad. But yeah, like I am every day, honestly, and listening to you and the way that you respond to me, to our clients, right? I'm just always stretched in my own thinking, right, in the way I see the world. So thank you for imparting your nuggets to folks. And speaking of nuggets, a complex thing that I would like for us to, we can't solve this, right? Because the solve has to be nuanced and layered and at scale, but some things that are just in a lot of conversation today across industries, communities, etc. Those being both affirmative action strike downs, right, in colleges, which we know will bleed into other things. Now there's a new precedent has been set, as well as folks, particularly in the HR space, feeling the impacts of DE&I cuts, right? Like during the pandemic, and a little bit after, there was such a hype around, putting your money where your mouth is and supporting diversity and inclusion and bringing parity and equity and all these things. And DE&I changed to DEI, right? More universally. And then now, right, you're seeing at all levels a very violent backpedal, right? And for those who are in leadership capacities, I actually do really feel for leaders today, because the decision of one impacts the many, right? And so it doesn't necessarily mean that all executives sitting at the table at any of these institutions, right, agree with what's happening, but they still reflect, right, these organizations. And so, I just want to, one, say that we see you, we understand, and these are actually strategic needs that need strategic solutions, right? And a few things that are top of mind for me is one, saying that I think it's actually very important to bring in outside help to take an objective look and audit at what is going on, right? At what your employees are feeling, at what they cared about in the first place and actually didn't give a damn about it all, right? To give you feedback to your blind eyes, right? Your blind sides, right? Your blind spots, to let you know who you need to hire, right? Where you need to hire, what you need to take off of your plate and switch into something else, because solutions to these issues doesn't necessarily mean increasing the budget or even bringing back budget that was cut. It's actually being smarter and more efficient and more prudent with what you've been given, right? With what's already in your hand. and an external party, promise you, can be more honest about the program design, right, or your products or your company culture than you can be with yourself, right, because you're in it, you're sitting in it. But now more than ever, that external lens and that external support is needed because people run organizations. Products do not run organizations. Solutions do not run organizations. People run organizations. People, teamwork is the competitive advantage at any institution, right? And if careful attention and resourcing isn't placed on getting that audit and cleaning up house with whatever is in your hand, the implications are going to be extreme. There will be riots, there will be protests, there will be walk-offs, there will be a lot of things, and even at the community level, right? You will cause so much damage to the livelihoods of those who are in your stratosphere if you do not take intentional time to soften the blow that people are experiencing every day, that we actually feel at a visceral level as Black and brown people, right?
Yeah, it's almost like, I mean, it's not a laughing matter at all, but it's one of those like F around and find out. Like it's unfortunately that's kind of the way it's been set up to be responded to. I know that there are a few leaders in the DE&I industry that have spoken out on this. Dr. Nika White is one of them. Krista Wilson is another one that I follow as well. And just to see how, you know, sometimes even at the very basic level of like seeing people's humanity just being disregarded and just kind of tossed out is beyond. It's beyond. And like you said, like people run organizations. And so you almost begin to wonder like, what is the end goal here if we're not here to support our people in our organizations, if we're not here to support humanizing the experience for folks in our workplace? Like it's frightening. It really is frightening. Like, and you know, I'm grateful that there exists like other opportunities, but for a lot of people, like it's not like they can just snap their fingers tomorrow and figure out a whole new game plan. So I'm with you. Like my heart goes out to folks in that space, and for even the folks under the umbrella of these organizations who are going to be impacted by these actions.
Likewise. And that's real, Toya. It makes me think like we make a lot of decisions sitting inside of privilege, really not understanding the damage that it will cause, right? Really not understanding the number of mothers who have children, you know, who support people outside of their families, right? When we remove initiatives that don't have an immediate ROI, right? And that's another challenge too. Like there has to be a refresh in the way that we even measure ROI, right?
Yes.
Because if you actually thread the needle through, let's say 12 months, just 12 months, right? And really look at the number of lives and the number of households and the aggregate, right, economic value of said impact, and then take it, thread that needle further and say, and then what will these folks graduate to, right? What would this entry-level job and a promotion on that, like then what, right? And then who will they hire? Because they will probably hire differently, right? They will probably hire locally, right? We have to refresh the ways in which we look at these dynamics and defend these things, right? From a quantitative perspective. It's actually not kicks and giggles. It's not anecdotal. Like there's a true economic implication to every decision that we make, and the ones that matter the most are often impact that reverberates right through people's lives and their surroundings, right? Like first place, second place, third space, right? Like what happens to the churches because of what we did? What happens to bookstores and libraries as a result right, of opportunities we've given to mothers and teachers, etc. So privilege is something else.
Absolutely. This actually kind of reminds me of a podcast episode, an interview we did with one of our Blaze Business Award winners, and she was telling me how she grew up in poverty, and brilliant mind. She said straight A student, AP student, gifted and talented program, the whole nine.
Right.
But she was living in poverty and eventually dropped out of high school, and had her administration team come to her house and tell her, no, we need you. Like, we need to support you. We need to, whatever we can do to step in to make sure that you have the opportunities to complete this and to succeed. We want to make sure that this happens. Fast forward to where she is today, she's now going back to that same school that gave her that opportunity. So it's created a ripple effect. Like, it doesn't, like you said, like it's so far beyond just the bottom line and the ROI. But she's making that economic impact that you mentioned. And I can only imagine like how it's rippling through the students through that school who may have had that same experience, and not because they are the tokens who just want to have the box checked off. It's like, these children are brilliant, but systemically they've not been positioned to succeed at the optimal level.
Right.
And so why wouldn't we use the privilege that we have to support and ensure that they get the access and the opportunity that they deserve? And it's just like stories like that, to me, because it brings it down so close to home. It's just like, it leaves you speechless.
And we as leaders, and this is from nonprofits to corporates to philanthropic arms of entities, like, we as leaders have to actually be a lot more strategic about the way that we portray this, right? Like, if we're not putting these stories in our decks, right, and like visualizing it for folks and literally show the arrow from one seed planted spanning out all these ways, we are doing our people a disservice, right? Because we just telling stories to people at happy hours that they can't contextualize, because legit, they have never even seen what you're talking about. They've never been only in a room, right? Like, we actually have to have the audacity to show up and paint this story, right? And go ahead and thread that needle across 3 years. I would argue that we probably get a lot farther in these conversations if we just show that data, right? Because data is not emotional. Like, data is non-emotional. And that's how I moved big needles inside of corporate, no matter what my level was, because I was able to take whatever I was talking about and put it in numerical terms, and no one could argue. They were just like, like, even if they culturally didn't understand, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, this is a huge missed opportunity. Like, yes, it is. So good. We are done talking your ear out today, but we'll be back next week, so keep it locked. I am Casey, and I'm super cold in finance, if I do say so myself. Toya is a guru in all things operations, and we appreciate you for rocking with us today. Check out more of Blaze content on Blaze Group app, the Blaze Group app, available on Android and Apple. And we'll see you on the other side. Peace.